The moon, a beacon in our night sky, shining down on Earth for billions of years. It's been nearly 50 years since humans last set foot on its surface. And yet, in the years since the Apollo missions, the moon has remained a distant, almost mythical destination. But now, with NASA's Artemis program, the dream of returning to the moon is closer than ever. SpaceX, led by the visionary Elon Musk, has promised to make that dream a reality. At the heart of this ambition lies the Lunar Starship, a spacecraft unlike any other, designed to carry astronauts to the lunar surface and back. It's a bold, futuristic vision, a reusable, fully integrated system capable of landing on the moon, supporting long-term exploration, and ultimately becoming part of the foundation for future missions to Mars. But what if the Lunar Starship, this shining hope of humanity's return to the moon, doesn't work? What if it fails to meet the stringent requirements set by NASA for this monumental mission? What happens then? The consequences of such a failure could send shockwaves through the space community, not just for NASA, not just for SpaceX, but for all of humanity's ambitions in space. Let's explore what would happen if Lunar Starship can't get NASA to the moon. Before we dive into the potential risks, let's take a moment to understand the vision behind Lunar Starship. SpaceX's Starship program is the most ambitious space development project in history. Designed as a fully reusable spacecraft, Starship's potential to revolutionize space travel is immense. But when SpaceX was awarded the contract to develop the lander for NASA's Artemis program, the Lunar Starship concept evolved into something even bigger. This spacecraft is designed to carry astronauts all the way from lunar orbit to the moon's surface and back. Its design is radically different from anything that's been used before. An enormous, gleaming stainless steel behemoth that can carry both crew and cargo, re-enter Earth's atmosphere, and eventually even travel to Mars. SpaceX's vision for the Lunar Starship is one of audacity, efficiency, and long-term sustainability. By making the lander fully reusable, the company aims to drastically cut the costs of space exploration, paving the way for humanity to live and work in space on an unprecedented scale. The prospect of building lunar infrastructure, utilizing the moon's resources, and eventually making Mars a new home hinges on the success of this vehicle. But with great ambition comes great risk. The Lunar Starship's success, or failure, will be the defining moment of this generation's space exploration ambitions. It's not just a piece of technology. It's the key to unlocking a new era in space. So, what could go wrong? The story of space exploration is filled with triumphs, but also with setbacks. The Lunar Starship, as groundbreaking as it is, faces enormous hurdles in its design, development, and execution. Let's talk about the technology. Starship is no ordinary spacecraft. It's massive, standing over 50 meters tall, and designed to be fully reusable. While this reusability is revolutionary, it's also a technical challenge. The spacecraft needs to land, take off, and operate in the harsh conditions of the moon's surface and space itself. Each step of the mission, from launch to landing to return to lunar orbit, requires flawless operation. A malfunction, a failure in one of its many complex systems, could derail the entire mission. Consider the moon itself. It's a place unlike any we've encountered before, with no atmosphere to shield astronauts from extreme temperatures and no natural protection from harmful radiation. Starship needs to be more than just a way to get from lunar orbit to the surface. It must keep astronauts safe, comfortable, and alive on a world where every detail must be carefully controlled. Any mistake in the lander's design or performance could put lives at risk. Then, there's the timeline. SpaceX has set ambitious deadlines, aiming for a test flight of the lunar Starship in the coming years. NASA's Artemis mission is also on a tight schedule, set to land astronauts on the Moon by 2025. The timeline may seem optimistic, but in space, delays are all too common. Even minor delays in Starship's development could push the mission back, causing NASA to reconsider its plans. SpaceX is no stranger to rapid development, but the stakes are higher than ever before. And don't forget the unknowns. The Moon is not a forgiving place, and we are still learning about its surface, its dust, and its extreme environmental conditions. Starship must be capable of dealing with all of these uncertainties. What if something unexpected happens during a test flight or during a mission? What if the lunar environment presents challenges that no one anticipated? All of these factors combined create an environment where even the slightest issue could have massive consequences. The question is not if something will go wrong, but when, and whether Starship can overcome these challenges to reach the Moon. In space exploration, failure is not an option. That's why NASA, even with its confidence in SpaceX and Lunar Starship, has always planned for contingencies. If the Lunar Starship fails to deliver, NASA has backup plans. The Human Landing System (HLS) program, part of the Artemis mission, is designed to allow multiple landers to compete for the task of landing astronauts on the Moon. While Lunar Starship is the primary contender, there are other companies in the race. Blue Origin, led by Jeff Bezos, has developed the Blue Moon lander, a more traditional and smaller spacecraft that could carry astronauts to the lunar surface with more conventional technology. Alongside that, Dynetics has created a modular lander with a unique design that could potentially replace Starship in a pinch. These backup landers may not have the same ambitious vision or sheer scale as the Lunar Starship, but they are viable alternatives. Their designs focus on different technologies, using well-established engineering principles that could prove more reliable in the short term. NASA's strategy with multiple landers ensures that if one fails, the other can step in, keeping the Artemis mission on track. While it's not the ideal scenario, these backups provide a safety net that NASA can rely on, ensuring that the mission to return to the Moon doesn't grind to a halt. Even beyond the private companies, international collaboration is a key part of NASA's plans. Partners such as the European Space Agency, ESA, and Roscosmos have the potential to step in and offer their own capabilities, either in the form of landers or other technologies, to help ensure the success of the Artemis program. While alternatives exist, a setback in the Lunar Starship program would still have far-reaching implications. Delays in the Artemis timeline would push back NASA's goals for not just lunar exploration, but for a sustained human presence on the Moon. The longer it takes to establish that presence, the more difficult it becomes to achieve long-term objectives, like building a permanent lunar base and utilizing the Moon's resources for deep space exploration. For the global space community, a failure in the Lunar Starship program would be a blow to confidence. SpaceX has captured the world's imagination with its bold promises, and failure could shake public trust in the idea of reusable space travel. It could also set back the dream of Mars colonization, since much of the technology tested on the Moon is vital for missions to the Red Planet. But perhaps the greatest loss would be the potential to inspire. Space exploration has always been a source of wonder and hope for people across the world. A failure on such a high-profile mission could dampen that sense of possibility. We are at the cusp of a new era, one where the Moon, Mars, and beyond seem within our grasp. If the Lunar Starship can't make it, that vision could be delayed, but not defeated. Despite all the challenges, setbacks, and uncertainties, one thing remains clear. Humanity's return to the Moon is inevitable. The vision is too strong, the desire too great. Whether it's with the Lunar Starship or another spacecraft, the goal will not be abandoned. NASA and its partners have laid the groundwork for the next phase of human exploration, and that journey will continue.